even adjunct faculty, part-time instructors, or say even deans or departmental heads with teaching responsibilities, and teaching assistants, researchers, so on and so forth. All these people will come under teachers of HEIs. Now, as you see on the screen, I just have three simple questions for our audience. So, my first question is, are the teachers born with a silver tongue, or are they honed through hard work? So, my question is, what is the science of becoming a captivating presenter? Next, is effective communication a gift or a craft? Is it something like a skill so that we all can master it? Can anyone become a great presenter with effective training and practice? Participants, now it is your time. What is your answer? What do you think about these questions? Can somebody answer? You can even type it in the chat box, or you can just unmute yourselves and answer. Ma'am, the previous slide, ma'am. Yeah, these are my questions I just posed to you. So, what do you think? Are teachers born with a silver tongue? Can effective communication, is it like something like a gift, or we all can become great presenters with some kind of training and practice? What do you think, participants? Yeah, this slide, ma'am. What do you think, participants? Can we have an interactive session?
Ma'am, I've given access to the mic so the participants can interact with you.
Yeah, sure. Please, you
Thank you,
can
ma'am.
unmute yourselves and you can answer. I know the next immediate question in all our minds is how, ma'am? Yes, that we will discuss after a slide or two. Ma'am, can we just move to the next slide? Why teacher presentations matter in higher education? So, in this dynamic landscape of higher education, we all know as teachers, our students are bombarded with information from various sources, isn't it? Whether it could be the textbooks, online resources, or even peers are teaching them. They are learning from peer learning also. Now, the role of the teacher, it has evolved beyond something like simply being a dispenser of knowledge. Our students don't agree if we just distribute the knowledge from some source, isn't it? Today, as effective educators, we all must, as I told you, we must be captivating our audience. We must try to ignite their curiosity. We must guide our students, our scholars, sometimes even our colleagues, right? So, this is a continuous journey of exploration. Now, this is where the art of presentation takes the center stage. Speaking about fostering the deeper engagement. See, a well crafted presentation of yours, it can definitely transform a passive lecture into an interactive learning experience. Don't you think so? Yes. So, by incorporating multimedia elements, it could be the images, videos, say the infographics. As teachers, definitely you can break down those complex concepts into small digestible chunks. And even you can cater to diverse learning styles also. So this kind of visual stimulation, it tries to keep your students engaged. It will prompt them to think critically, and your students, believe me, they are ready to ask questions to you. Say for example, let's think of a history class where we all are discussing about Julius Caesar. Yes. So let us picture this history class where Julius Caesar isn't just a name in the book. Now we are making him as teachers, maybe a 3D gladiator battle on the screen. How does it seem to the students? So students get excited. They try to plan strategies because they are looking at a pixelated soldiers who are clashing. Right? It is as interesting as a movie. Don't you think so? Now, what will happen with these Roman tactics? It is we are trying them to turn into a thrilling game. So we are making that boring history come alive. Do you think so? Correct. Then speaking about promoting the active learning. See, presentations means it need not always have to be something like a one-way communication. It can be something much more than that. We can incorporate polls, quizzes. We can even have group discussions. As teachers, you can actively involve all your students in this learning process. This participatory approach, it is not only reinforcing the understanding in the minds of your students, but also you are cultivating that critical thinking, collaboration, communication skills in the minds of your students. And all these skills are definitely essential for the success in this 21st century, isn't it? Let us just speak about science. Just picture a science lab where we are speaking about, let's speak about any simple concept, say photosynthesis. So photosynthesis isn't just a diagram on the blackboard. Let us make it something like a plant powered race car competition, right? You can have teams. So those teams will create mini cars. They'll be having mini greenhouses, and you will be experimenting with the sunlight angles. You'll be also experimenting with the leaf types. So science, it just becomes like a fun pit crew experience. So kids will be cheering for the leafy speedsters. Don't you think so? Yes. So we can make our presentations as interesting as this. Building a stronger connection. A passionate and engaging presentation, it definitely bridges the gap between the teacher and the student. See, you all are educators. As educators, when you share your own experiences, your own insights, and if you show to your students that you have enthusiasm for your subject matter, then you are most likely to create a more personal and a relatable learning environment for your students. Now, what will happen? Through this, you are trying to foster a sense of community, and you are trying to motivate your students to delve deeper into the material. Suppose we are in an English class. So nowadays, what students think about Shakespeare? He was just a old writer. Let us make him something like a TikTok drama king. Just imagine. Students now, they can turn his sonnets into viral trends. Why not? They can perform the soliloquies as a rap battles, and they can also analyze those love triangles with emoji filled hashtags. Yes, now the bard's words aren't boring. They're something like fire tweets. And we all, as educators, we are trying to connect with the teens of today, right? This is how we are building a stronger connection with the subject and also with the students. Enhancing critical thinking. If my presentation has to be effective, I'm not just trying to present the facts, but I'm trying to challenge my students to critically think about the information that I'm presenting, isn't it? So, by posing open ended questions or presenting the opposing views, I also try to encourage debate inside the classroom. As teachers, we all can push our students beyond that rote memorization, and we can take them into the realm of analysis, synthesis, evaluation. Suppose we have a philosophy class. We know 90-95% of the students, they think it is boring. Suppose we are discussing about ethics, everybody will sleep, and that's for sure. Whether it is a morning class, whether it is an afternoon class, or an evening class, online class. So we need not have to speak about that at all, right? They will mute themselves, they'll switch off their videos. We just do not know what they are doing in a philosophy class. Let's picture this philosophy class where ethics, what we are discussing about, just an example, it isn't just inside our textbook. We can just choose our own adventure robot uprising. Why can't we do that? Now, we shall allow our students to make the decisions, maybe for the malfunctioning AI, artificial intelligence. They'll be facing the moral dilemmas. They'll be debating the consequences of what are the rights of robot. Now, what will happen when we involve all our students? Philosophy isn't just big word, right? It just becomes a cool maze where every turn, wherever we go, it is sparking, it is igniting that critical thinking in the minds of our students, right? Developing essential presentation skills. See, in today's job market, strong presentation skills are highly sought after. You know that, I also know that. So, by regularly exposing our students to well structured and engaging presentations, as teachers, you can definitely equip them with much more confidence. And you know how to effectively communicate their ideas. You are allowing them to communicate their ideas in any professional setting. Think of any subject. We discussed about so many things. So, our students, let they not be just passive listeners. Suppose, uh, again coming to some speaking about the historical figures. Let's ask our students to auction off those historical figures. Something like we have a picture and they'll be bidding maybe on the Cleopatra's leadership or our Galileo's famous telescope or Martin Luther King's dream speech using those genius points. Right. Now, it is no more just a presentation. What is happening in our class? It becomes something like a high stakes bidding war, right? Where all our students compete for the coolest ideas. So this is how we try to develop the skills in them, right? By now, we all have understood that to teacher presentations, they are not just about delivering the information, isn't it? And also, we are trying to create a dynamic learning environment, and it is, and this environment is promoting all the above discussed points. Not only that, it is along with the essential life skills, as I spoke, interpersonal relationship. I spoke about communication, creativity, critical thinking, so many things. So, by mastering the art of presentation as educators, me, you, we all can transform our classrooms into launch pads for intellectual growth. We all can prepare our students for the success in a world, right? And this world is demanding for clear, confident, and persuasive communication. Don't you think so? Yes. Ma'am, next slide. Captivating the classroom. What are the best presentation techniques for higher education teachers? See, whether you are facing a sea of faces in your lecture hall or we are just beaming into the screens across the globe, effective presentations, they are the bedrock of engaging the higher education. Online, offline, doesn't matter. We need to effectively present. But how do you move beyond the monotonous monologue? See, almost from 15 minutes, only I'm speaking. How do I spark the curiosity in my audience? Yes, let us dive into some pieces for teachers to rock their presentations. As I told you, whether it is online, offline, doesn't matter. Ma'am, next slide. Content is king, right? You all would have come across this phrase. This is often used in the context of digital marketing. We also use it in media, online publishing. So it just means that the quality and the relevance of the information whatever you present, they are the most important aspects of your presentation. Content is king means what is the quality of the information you are providing and how much relevant is it to your audience, right? I can sit here, I can speak about sports, I can speak about politics, but is it relevant to this group of audience? I need to ask myself. That is the biggest question mark. Yes. See, no matter how fancy your visuals are or how good your delivery style is, if at all the content itself is confusing or your content is unfocused, nothing is clear, students are not able to understand what you are speaking about, that means you are not catering to your audience. This is where your presentation will fall short. Are we clear so far? Am I too fast? Are we clear? You can just type it in the chat box. Are we clear so far? Participants? Okay. Thank you. Okay. When we are speaking about the content, the first thing I have mentioned here is know your audience. Let us say you are teaching a computer programming class, maybe to a group of UG students, undergraduate students. And as we all know, they'll be having varying levels of programming experience. Not everybody is up to the mark. Now, what you must be doing? You must be tailoring your examples, your explanations based on their familiarity with the coding concepts. I'm just speaking about a computer programming class. For beginners, you can start with the fundamental concepts. While for more advanced students, you can just delve into the complex programming challenges. How you can do this? How do you understand? How to tailor content to their level? How to understand what are the interests of my students? What are their learning goals? What you can do is you can regularly assess your students' backgrounds. You can understand what are their preferences, what are their learning goals. Maybe you can do this through the surveys, or you can have short, brief discussions with your group. Even the interactive quizzes will help you. Now, after this, you try to adjust your content so that you can align with their knowledge levels, their interests, right? Thereby, you are ensuring there is a more personalized and more engaging learning experience. Then, speaking about clarity and conciseness. Suppose we are in a marketing class. Say we are discussing about a concept of market segmentation. What you must be doing? I'm speaking about the point clarity and conciseness. Try to focus on the key takeaways. Maybe something such as targeting specific consumer groups. Usually, what we will be doing, we will be overwhelming the slides. We'll be having extensive details. Suddenly, we will show all the segmentation types. Now, what will happen? Students will get confused. Here, you can use the visuals, something like charts, graphs, so that you can be illustrating your key points concisely. Right? In the clarity and conciseness, I'm trying to tell you, please focus on the key takeaways and try to avoid overloading slides. Yes, I remember of one thing. Here, you can follow the principle of less is more. Right? Less is more. Try to prioritize the most crucial information. So you are ensuring that each slide of yours, it is conveying a clear message. It is conveying a concise message. Through this, what is happening? You are not only effectively presenting, it is also enhancing the understanding of your students. And you're also trying to prevent that cognitive overload for your students. And speaking about logical flow, let's again imagine you're teaching a psychology class, maybe about different theories of personality development. What you can do, try to organize your content in a logical sequence. Just to start with the foundational theories, something like Freud's psychoanalytical theory. Before you progress into much more contemporary models, before you speak about the big five personality traits, let us start with the basics. Then we can have that proper logical flow. We can organize our content in a sequence. Now you're trying to create a roadmap for your presentation. You're trying to arrange your content in a logical order. Now, what is happening? You are ensuring in your presentation there is a smooth transition from one concept to the next concept, right? Level A1, then we are moving to A2, then we are moving to the advanced level A3, A4, right? You can also use the visual cues, something like you can number it or you can have that connecting lines. All this will be guiding your students through the logical flow of your material. What comes after what? B comes after A. We all will understand. Power of storytelling. Suppose in a physics class, you are explaining the laws of motion. Try to weave some narrative around that historical content, how these laws were formulated. Try to introduce some kind of anecdotes about the famous physicists like Newton, Galileo. Now, what is happening? Instead of directly telling or teaching those laws from the textbook, you are making the subject matter more engaging, and it also becomes memorable for your students. That's why integrate the storytelling techniques into your presentation. Try to share the relevant case studies. That is very, very important. And these stories must be short, right? You can even share your personal stories or any kind of interesting stories wherein you are trying to provide examples that are illustrating the key concepts. Please connect those abstract ideas into the real world scenarios. This is how we are making our students to better understand the concept. They'll be able to relate and they can better understand the content. Now, by incorporating all these elements into your teaching strategy, you're not only say conveying the information effectively, but also as presenters, as teachers, as educators, you are trying to create a learning environment that is catering to the specific needs and the specific interests of your audience. And all this will collectively enhance the impact of your presentation. Right. Ma'am, next slide. Visual appeal. How do you attract your audience through the power of design? We need to embrace simplicity, or we need to have that clarity in our slides. Just now, we discussed in the previous slide that less is more. A slide with a clean, minimalist design is what we want, right? Remember one thing, your slides are not, they are the visual aids. They are not novels, isn't it? You're not writing any novels on our slides. So those kinds of cluttered backgrounds, excessive fonts, or that rainbow colors, they are more likely to distract your audience than delighting them. Don't you agree? Yes. Color harmony. So you must be painting a pleasing palette, right? Think of your color scheme as the melody of your presentation. Try to choose a consistent and pleasing combination of colors. And these colors, they must be complementing each other, right? And you can also opt for good contrast between your background and also the text, hmm, so that you'll be ensuring there is legibility, and especially it is required for those fonts in the back row, right? So remember, please avoid those jarring neon shades or those clashing patterns. But we all, as educators, we shall aim for that professional or the visually soothing experience of our audience. Next, we have to choose the right notes. What about the font symphony? See, just like you wouldn't have 10 instruments playing at once, right? Do we like it or do we understand? Not at all. Similarly, we shall stick to a limited number of fonts, maybe two or three in our presentations. Try to choose those fonts that are clear, that are easy to read for everyone, and it must also be appropriate for your subject matter. Please avoid those overly decorative or handwritten fonts, right? All this can be really difficult for the audience to decipher. Size is what matters here. So make sure your text is large enough for everyone, so that your audience are able to see comfortably even from the back of the room, if at all you are in a physical class. I don't know whether you are able to view this my slide comfortably. Are you able to see this particular image on my screen? Yes. What about the impact of the image? So in simple words, does image help our presentation? Yes. I say, show something, don't tell anything. Right? A picture is indeed worth 1,000 words, but only if it is a right picture. Right? Now I am speaking something about visual appeal. If I bring here a poster of superstar Rajnikant, is it relevant? Or if I just try to paste Narendra Modi ji's picture, is it the right picture here in this context? Not at all. Right? So we need to have the right image here. Try to replace those generic clip art or those blurry visuals. Let us have those high resolution pictures, relevant images, right? And these images will be complementing the message, whatever I'm trying to tell you. The infographics, charts, diagrams, all this can also be the powerful tools so that you can visually represent the complex data. Every image that you put on your slide, it should have a purpose, and it should also contribute to the overall clarity and impact of your presentation. It must not confuse your classroom, right? Whether you are displaying inside your classroom or whether it is online. So by embracing all these principles, you can transform your presentations from information dumps to visually captivating experiences, and you are able to truly resonate with your audience. If you're using online tools, you can use that Canva, Adobe Spark. So you can create stunning and definitely professional looking slides with ease. Ma'am, next slide. Delivery dynamics. What does it mean, participants? Can somebody answer? What are delivery dynamics? You can unmute yourselves, or even you can type it in the chat box. What are delivery dynamics? What do you understand from this slide? What are delivery dynamics? Anybody? Yes, sir, please. Professor Buvaso Tupe, sir, please. You can just unmute yourself and you can answer. You have raised your hand. Sir, you can unmute yourself. Ma'am, do they have the permission to unmute themselves?
Yes, ma'am, I've given the answer.
Yes, sir. Anybody? You can just unmute yourselves.
Hello,
Sir, please.
am I audible to you? Miss?
Yes, sir.
Yes, delivery dynamics means variation.
Mhm.
Yes, it includes your passion, speaking style,
Mhm.
then voice modulation, body language, and the interactive means you should always ask questions, then involve them in your discussion when you are going to present the content in front of the class. That's it, I think.
Right, sir. Thank you for your response. As sir correctly said, it refers to the techniques, the strategies, and also the elements involved in effectively delivering your information. Whether I'm delivering it in a presentation or I'm giving a lecture or whether it is a training session, doesn't matter. Any form of communication, how am I delivering it? That refers to this delivery dynamics. So, as sir was mentioning, it encompasses how you use your voice. What about your body language? How do you use your gestures? The vibrant expressions that you give, the interaction you make, all this will be creating a fascinating as well as an engaging experience for your listeners. So, what are the secrets of impactful delivery? How do you transforming you from a monotone lecturer maybe to a charismatic communicator, right? How do you ignite the minds and hearts of the students? So there are a few points here. Passion ignites. Yes. Speak your truth with enthusiasm is what I would like to say. Say, just imagine a chef who is simply listing some ingredients. There is no joy in his face. Would you be tempted to try their dish? Not at all. Similarly, your words are your uh, culinary creations, and your enthusiasm inside your classroom, that is the spice that makes them irresistible. So, as educators, you must be speaking clearly, confidently, and there must be varied pacing. Sir also mentioned about this. Volume. There must be variations. How do I speak? Isn't it? Yes. Let your genuine passion for teaching profession and also the topic you're speaking about, let it shine through, right? And believe me, your audience will be hooked, right? Okay. So body language, eye to eye, building connection with body language, that is very, very important. At first, I speak about eyes. They are the windows of your soul, and your body language tells your story even before you utter a single word, isn't it? So try to maintain that eye contact with your audience. Don't just stare at the ceiling or at the slides. Try to use those natural gestures. Try to emphasize your points, but please try to avoid those nervous tics or that any kind of fidgeting. So please remember your confident posture and your open body language. It projects sincerity. It projects authority, and this is what brings your audience closer to your message. Then only they'll understand. If I simply start saying something without any kind of body language, not even, I don't even blink my eye, I keep on telling something, do you understand, or am I clearly conveying my message? Not at all. So building connection with body language is very, very important inside a classroom. Then from lecture to lab, how do we inject interactivity? Suppose we are moving on a one-way street. After some time, definitely it leads to boredom because there is no learning at all. As educators, we have to break the monotone. We have to incorporate the interactive elements into our presentation. Probably this is the third time I'm emphasizing this particular point, right? So as I told you, we can use polls, we can use quizzes, then we can gauge the understanding of our students, and we can also spark the discussion, right? We can encourage questions and we shall answer them with open enthusiasm, right? So please remember, the more your audience participate, the more invested they become. They try to understand your message, right? And these things will turn your presentation into a dynamic learning lab. And this is what we expect from our audience in a session, isn't it? Yes. So practice makes perfect. How do I polish my performance? Just imagine an athlete who will be stepping onto the field without any training. Do we expect him or her to win? Not at all. So here, rehearsal is the key to a smooth and impactful presentation. Before you step inside your classroom, please practice your delivery beforehand. Try to pay attention to the timing. How is my flow? What about the transitions? Try to get feedback from your colleagues or just try to record yourself. Then we can understand what are my areas of improvement. Where am I lacking? Please remember, the more prepared you are, the more confident you'll be, and more your audience will be mesmerized by your performance. And here I would like to give you a bonus tip. Please embrace the power of silence. Strategic pauses in between, it definitely adds emphasis. It will allow your audience to reflect and you will be building that anticipation. So don't be afraid to let your words hang in the air for maximum impact. And by mastering these delivery dynamics, you can definitely transform your presentations from those routine recitals to electrifying experiences. And we will also be resonating with our audience for a long time, right? Even after that final slide. Hmm? Ma'am, next slide. So, how do we conquer the digital frontier? What are the online strategies for HEI presentations? Imagine, as a teacher, you are confidently delivering a presentation through a video call. You are able to engage your students with interactive features. See, the classroom has gone digital long way back, and so should your presentations also, right? We all should unlock the secrets of charming online learning. We must be transforming from an analog lecturer to a digital dynamo, right? Because we must be rocking our virtual classroom, right? And we all agree with it, isn't it? Yes. How do we embrace that technology, tech arsenal? So, unleashing the power of online tools. How do we do that? See, gone are the days of those static slides. Nobody likes it, right? Your online presentation software, it is a something like a treasure trove of features, and it is just waiting to be explored. Why don't you use animations and your transitions? You can add the visual interest, keep your audience engaged, right? All these things I already mentioned. So try to experiment with different layouts. Try to incorporate the multimedia elements, something like videos in between, or you can play the sound clips. Even consider those live polls or quizzes. What is the help of this? You're trying to break the monotony. Embrace the technology. Don't just show the slides to your audience. They don't listen to you. They don't take the information you're trying to convey. Then speaking about collaboration, not isolation, right? Building community in the digital space. How do we do that? See, online learning, it doesn't have to be a solitary experience. As I mentioned an example in the first slide. So online, we don't know what our audience will be doing, right? With their mics off, with their videos off. We need to utilize the collaborative power of online tools. Then only we can create a vibrant learning community. You can break your students into virtual breakout rooms. You can have for you can use it for the group discussions, brainstorming sessions, or any kind of problem solving activities. Why don't you use those online whiteboards, those interactive platforms? We can have, it allows us to have the real time collaboration. We can have real time co-creation. So all this will foster a sense of shared learning. We will be engaged. See, please keep in mind our online classrooms can be just as interactive and as dynamic as the real offline classes, physical classes. Then, speaking about beyond the live stream, how do we cater to the asynchronous learners? As teachers, we all know that Not every student learns at the same pace or on the same schedule, isn't it? So why don't you record your presentations? Why don't you share them online? Now, through this, you are trying to give your students the flexibility to learn at their own convenience, right? You can even consider creating the micro lectures for specific topics. Usually, students will prefer it for a short duration. You can offer alternative presentation formats, something like podcasts in audio or video format. You can use the infographics. That means the use of charts, icons, images, text, and all this will be conveying the information, especially in a visually engaging and in a accessible format. You can even try providing those transcripts or closed captions for accessibility of your students. See, asynchronous learning can also cater to different diverse learning styles and diverse needs of your students. Because our scholars, they'll be having different schedules, they'll be having different preferences. But as educators, it is our responsibility to make our teaching relevant to each and every student, right? Then, engaging the virtual toolkit. As I told you, we shall just leave that static screen and we will try to embrace that virtual toolbox. Let us all experiment with the online whiteboards. Let's have those real-time brainstorming, note taking. We can use those gamified elements, those interactive platforms, right? We all are trying to turn learning into a playful adventure. We can even encourage our students to use the online chat functions, virtual hand raising tools. They can simply ask questions or even they can share their thoughts. So, as I told you, online presentations can also be interactive, it can also be dynamic. It keeps your audience engaged and energized with all these things. We should not hesitate to use all these tools because we all are still mastering the art of online presence, isn't it? And a few things like basics, we must be using proper lighting, proper audio equipment. We need to maintain that eye contact with the camera. We need to often have that small smile, right? So your enthusiasm, your positivity, everything will come through the screen, and it is trying to create a more personal one-on-one connection with each of your audience. Don't you think so? Yes. Ma'am, next slide. Okay. How do we embrace this real deal? What about the offline strategies? How do we captivate our HEI classrooms? See, after a pandemic disruption, since a couple of years, slowly we all have come back to our old, vibrant classrooms, buzzing with lots of activities happening with our students, isn't it? As a teacher, you're not just standing at the podium, but we all have to be interacting with our students, correct? So, in person classroom, how to transform yourself how to transform yourselves from a textbook reader to a dynamic educator. How do you ignite learning in the very air that your students breathe? What can we do? First, let's try to break the barrier. Let's try to unleash the classroom interaction. As I told you, the podium where you stand, it is not your prison, isn't it? So you have to move around the room. You have to make that eye contact, encourage participation, and you must be facilitating that lively discussions. See, learning thrives on interaction, not monologue. If I'm teaching you something, obviously I'm learning something from you all, right? So be the spark that ignites your students' engagement and try to turn your classroom into a vibrant forum for ideas and collaboration. Beyond the words, how do we bring learning to life with properties and visuals? We all know words are powerful, but visuals, it can be mind blowing. Don't you think so? Yes. Teachers don't just talk about concepts, bring them to life with props, with models, with interactive demonstrations. Use the whiteboard as your canvas, draw the diagrams, and try to engage your students in creating that visual representations of the complex ideas. I already told you, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and even a tangible object is worth even more in the realm of learning. So we need to spice up the menu. What is a buffet of teaching methods? See, variety is the spice of life, and even more so in our classrooms. Please don't confine yourselves to that lecture format. I speak, you listen. No. Please mix things up with group activities. Let us have case studies to solve together. Let us have role playing exercises and even debates. Why don't you encourage your student presentations? What about the project collaborations? Why don't you give them an opportunity to learn from their peers, peer to peer learning, right? So, diverse teaching methods, it caters to different learning styles, and you can keep that intellectual flames burning brightly, even more brighter. So, how do we foster a positive and active environment? Knowledge, it actually thrives in a safe and friendly space. As teachers, uh, let's be welcoming. Let's be respectful towards our students, and let us also celebrate diversity in our classrooms. How can we do this? We can encourage open communication. We can actively listen to what our students are trying to tell us. Then we can provide them a constructive feedback, right? Through this, we are trying to promote a sense of community where each one of your students, everyone feels valued. Yes, I am valued, I am respected, I am also empowered to participate. A positive and an inclusive environment, it is the bedrock of effective learning for each one of us, everybody, right? And yeah, most of the times, humor, it is a powerful tool. Something like a well-timed joke or a humorous anecdote, it can even break the ice. It can reduce the stress of your students, and it can even make learning more enjoyable. But please remember, keep those jokes clean and appropriate for your audience. Now, next slide. Yes. What are the technological tools and resources? So, teachers in higher education institutions, we all can leverage various technology tools and resources so that we can enhance our teaching methods. We can engage our students, and also even we can streamline our administrative tasks. So we have teaching and learning tools. I have just mentioned a few things here. Excuse me. LMS, Learning Management Systems. For example, we have Moodle, we have Canvas, we have Blackboard. What we can do through this LMS is we can centralize the course content, the assignments, grading, communication, everything can be done on one platform, right? It is very helpful. Then speaking about the virtual learning environments. So these will be creating the immersive online environment for collaborative learning, for simulations. So we have many virtual learning environments, like we have Minecraft Education Edition, we have Second Life, and so on. And then online collaboration platforms. We have been using one of it, right? So it will be facilitating the real-time collaboration. We can share our documents. We can communicate amongst the students or even faculty. So we have the Google Workspace. Formerly, it was known as the G Suite. We have Microsoft Teams, and many more are there to name. Then we have video conferencing tools, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet. We'll be using these to conduct the virtual lectures, seminars, office hours. All these will be facilitating the group discussions among us. Then even speaking about the interactive whiteboards, like we have Jamboard, we have Microsoft Whiteboard. All these we can use to foster collaborative brainstorming. We can use it for problem solving and even for the interactive lessons. Then even we can use screencasting and lecture capture. We can create instructional videos. We can record our lectures, as I told you, while we are trying to cater our asynchronous learners, right? We can even capture screen demonstrations. For this, we have OBS Studio, we have Panopto, many other platforms, Camtasia. You can just Google it, we will get it. Then we also have online assessment tools, like we have Quizlet, we have Kahoot, we have Google Forms. We can develop quizzes, polls, assessments, so that we can gauge our students and they know what is their level of understanding. Then, as teachers, we also need those research and productivity tools. To mention a few, we have reference management softwares, something like EndNote, Zotero, we have Mendeley. Through all this, we can organize and even cite the research sources. We can manage the bibliographies. Then, speaking about the collaborative writing platforms, we have Google Docs, we have Overleaf. All this will be facilitating the collaborative writing, editing, and also we can do the peer review for our research projects. Then, speaking about the data analysis tools, we have SPSS, R, Python, much more, right? Through this, we can analyze and visualize data for research projects, and even we can use it for our coursework. Professional development tools. Professional development is very, very important. Whether you are in an assistant professor level, whether you are in an associate professor level, whether you are a dean, whether you are a chairman, doesn't matter. But we need to develop ourselves. We need to keep ourselves updated on the new teaching methodologies, isn't it? So for that, we have online courses, we have MOOC platforms, something like Coursera, edX, LinkedIn Learning. You all can access courses for your professional development. As I told you, we all can stay updated on the new teaching methodologies. Then, speaking about the educational webinars and podcasts, we have iTunes U, we have TED Ed, all these. We have podcasts on the relevant topics. So through this, we can stay informed about the educational trends, about the teaching strategies, right? Discipline specific updates is what we can access through these. Communication and organizational tools. As I already told you, we have communication platforms like Microsoft Teams, Slack, Zoom. All this will be facilitating communication and collaboration among the faculty members and students. Then, even for task and project management, we have many tools like Notion, we have Trello, we have Asana. You can organize your tasks, you can manage your projects, and even you can collaborate on the shared goals. Calendar and scheduling apps, I need not have to teach this. We have Google Calendar, we have Microsoft Outlook. As teachers, we can manage our schedules, we can coordinate the meetings, and also we can set reminders for ourselves to be more proficient and professional, right? So these tools, why did I mention? It can empower us, mainly the HEI teachers, to create engaging learning environments. We can create efficient administrative tasks, and we can also stay current in our field, right? But it is essential to choose the tools that align with your specific teaching goals and also the unique needs of both the educators as well as your students in higher education. Ma'am, next slide. Feedback and improvement. Please remember, the journey of a great presentation is never over. Agree with me? Yes. We all have to embrace the growth mindset. As I told you, we must be exploring the powerful ways to continuously refine ourselves, mainly our presentation skills, right? We must be ensuring our learning flame, it burns even brighter day by day. Now, how do we seek the light? How do we embrace feedback from all the angles? Let us think of feedback. It is not a judgment, but let us think of feedback as a gift. Why don't we, as teachers, seek honest and constructive feedback from our students? Why do we hesitate to take feedback from our students or our colleagues from after each presentation? right? So let us listen actively, let us analyze with an open mind, and let us also identify the areas of our improvement. See, even the most seasoned presenter can learn, can grow, right? Now, here the feedback is the compass that guides our journey. Then, the next step is to refine and rise. How do we turn this feedback into action? Feedback, it is just the fuel. The action, what you take, it is the engine. So, don't let valuable insights gather dust, right? Incorporate the feedback you receive into your presentations. We all shall refine our delivery, our content, and also our teaching techniques. We shall experiment with new strategies. We shall try the different tools, adapt our approach based on what gels with our audience. So, continuous improvement, it is the key to mastery, and also transforming feedback into action, it propels you to the next level of your presentation prowess. Then next we have to reflect and reimagine. That means we are learning from our own insights. Let us all take time for self reflection after each presentation. Ask ourselves what worked well, what could be improved. Did I connect with my audience for this 1 hour, 1.5 hours, 2 hours of time? Did I spark their curiosity? Did I ignite their learning? Even after this presentation, I will also ask myself, right? So, self reflection is a powerful tool for identifying our strengths, our weaknesses. It helps us to refine our approach, and you can create the next presentations that are truly impactful. Maybe if you are up to 80%, you can make it 100% for the next time, isn't it? Yes. Ma'am, am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible now, ma'am.
Sorry, I just lost the connection.
Okay.
Okay.
You want me to share the slide?
Yes, ma'am. Please, please.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm extremely sorry. Maybe the last point I was explaining, I was just trying to tell you, try to share your own learning journey with your students. So, how did I receive feedback? How did I implement it? And how did that feedback it helped me to grow, right? So, through this, we are trying to demonstrate our commitment to continuous learning, and we are also trying to inspire our students to do the same. Ma'am, next slide. Yes. Yes. I have a few questions about effective techniques of presentation skills. Just to break the monologue, I have been telling this from a few slides. Hope you all are ready. Yes. I have a first question for you. What is the primary purpose of starting a presentation with an opening question? Probably I did this after my before my background introduction slide. I started with a question, right? So, can somebody answer? Everybody can please try to answer these questions. You can even type it in the chat box. What is the primary purpose of starting a presentation with an opening question? Is it to showcase that presenter has the knowledge, or to set the tone for interactivity, to create suspense in the audience, or none of the above? Yes, I see the answers. B, C, A. Oh, multiple answers are there. B. Okay. C. Okay. With an opening question, we are not trying to create any kind of suspense to our audience, but B is the right answer. We are trying to set the tone for interactivity. Ma'am, next slide. I have a set of questions. You can start answering it. How can the live polls, I have been speaking about this, the MCQs, multiple choice questions, how does it benefit a presentation? Are we trying to engage the audience and promote active participation? Or the presenter, just we want to increase the length of the presentation or make the presentation more complex in the minds of the audience? None of the above. Okay, I see two answers. Two answers say A. Right, A is the right answer. So we are trying to engage the audience and we are trying to promote active participation. Ma'am, next slide. Why might a teacher incorporate a case study into a presentation? Why do we bring this concept of case study? I even spoke about this. To make the presentation longer, or to encourage critical thinking and application of concepts, to showcase I have so many personal experiences, or none of the above. Right. The right answer is B, correct. To encourage critical thinking and application of concepts. Ma'am, next slide. What is a key benefit of incorporating interactive discussions in a presentation? Why do we do so? To increase the formality of the session, or to facilitate peer-to-peer learning and diverse perspectives, or to make a presentation more one-sided? None of the above. Oh, already I see many answers. Yes, the right answer is to facilitate peer-to-peer learning and also the diverse perspectives. Ma'am, next slide. I believe we have two or three more questions. Yes, what is the purpose of asking scenario-based questions in a presentation? Is it to confuse the audience, or to engage visually and collaboratively, or to encourage participants to think about real-world situations? None of the above. What is it? Yes, the right answer is C, to encourage participants to think about real world situations. We try to bring those scenario based questions. Ma'am, next question. Why might a presenter include quick reflection breaks during a session? Why do we need it? To give participants an extended break, or to discourage thinking about the content, or to allow participants to reflect on the content? None of the above. Audience, please, can you mute yourselves? Correct. The answer is C, to allow the participants to reflect on the content. Now, next slide. Okay. What is the benefit of using a interactive whiteboard activities in a presentation? Is it to make the presentation more one-sided, or to engage visually and collaboratively, or to decrease participant involvement? None of the above. Oh, I see so many quick responses. Yes. Correct. The right answer is engage visually and collaboratively. I have a last question for you. Ma'am, next one. Yeah. What is the primary purpose of ending a presentation? Why am I doing this with a quiz or summarization activity? Is it to reinforce the key concepts and provide a sense of accomplishment, or to just make the session longer, or to increase complexity without clear benefits? None of the above. Yes. We have wonderful audience here. Already I have got so many answers. To reinforce the key concepts and provide a sense of accomplishment. Very true. So asking questions or MCQs, multiple choice questions, it is one of the techniques we can use to engage our audience, and also we can encourage the participation, all your participation during the presentation. Thank you for the wonderful answers. Right. Yeah, to conclude, I'd like to say, in the light of our National Education Policy, NEP 2020, we see there is an emphasis on holistic learning, critical thinking, flexible learning pathways. Now, mastering effective presentation techniques becomes crucial for higher education teachers like you, like me, right? By prioritizing clear, engaging, and interactive content, and also when we tailor it to the diverse learning styles of our students, we all can move beyond the rote memorization. We can empower our students to become active participants in knowledge construction. Then leveraging technology, while we are trying to foster in-person engagement, we can craft the presentations wherein we are not only delivering the information, but also we are trying to spark that curiosity, ignite critical thinking, and also to inspire our students to become lifelong learners. So we are trying to align perfectly with the vision for a vibrant and also a transformative higher education landscape. Yeah, the floor is now open for interaction. So whether it is a clarification you